Hey everyone, Ben from Augment Guitars here, and today we're going to be looking at all the parts that I chose for this Telecaster build. So without further ado, let's dive in. So I thought I'd go through each set of parts that I ordered and explain, what I ordered and why I ordered it. The first part I want to talk about are these hip shot tuners. These are by far my favorite tuners to use, and I pretty much use them on all of my builds. These are the open geared staggered tuners, and I got them in the chrome finish. Usually I use the closed gear version of these tuners because I think the stock tuning key looks better, but I actually had these laying around the shop and I thought I'd put them to good use. On these tuners, I actually replaced the stock washers that came with them with these bigger ones from another set of tuners. Hipshot went through this period of a couple years where I don't know if they changed manufacturers, but all of the washers that came with the tuners were very thin and flimsy. But over the last couple years, it hasn't been a problem because the quality of the washers has been great and they look fantastic. Up next are the pickups. I really love the sound and clarity of bare knuckle pickups, and I've used them on a bunch of my builds before. They also have tons of finish options and have great product support. The first pickup I chose for this build is this Bootcamp True Grit Series Telecaster neck pickup. This series of pickups is made from their standard no frills lineup that is slightly cheaper than their other custom models. I've watched and listened to a few tone clip videos and they sound killer. I'm excited to try them out and hear how they sound with this build. For the bridge pickup, I decided to follow the same suit and went with another bare knuckle model. This one is called the Silo, which is the signature pickup for Rabia, who is a signature artist and does a lot of stuff on YouTube as well. I custom built this pickup to have a matte black cover with these nickel bolts, which I think really looks cool and will complement the build really well. I've heard a few tone demos of these pickups and they sound massive. I'm really excited to try these out too. Well, that's about it for the pickups I chose, so let's move on to the bridge I bought. Like the tuners, I usually use hip-shot bridges as well, but unfortunately they do not make a humbucker Telecaster plate that we're going to need for this build. So I found this bridge on allparts.com, and I think it should do the job well. It was fairly cheap at around $40 or so, and it seems to be made pretty well. This chrome bridge is going to look great against the matte black pickup cover, because it's all about that contrast. For the control and neck plates, I just went with the standard Fender Telecaster chrome plates. They're affordable and they look great. I also went with a blank neck plate because I didn't want any brand markings on this build. For most of my builds, I use Tusk nuts as they perform great and are easy to work with. Most of the time, they're pretty much a drop-in replacement and I only have to file the sides a bit and cut the nut slots to the right string gauge. They are pretty much 90% there when you get them, which is nice. We are also going to be using these Tusk string trees for this build. I've been using these more and more in my builds and I like how they perform over the traditional metal string trees. They really help with the tuning stability and they really help reduce friction beyond the nut. Now on to the pickguard. So again, I went with the standard, just black Telecaster pickguard. Nothing special, nothing too crazy. And the reason why this protective coating is kind of off like this is because I thought I saw some scratches, but it was actually just in the plastic protective coating. So there's no damage here. For the electronics, I purchased some 500K CTS pots from StewMac. I use them in most of my builds and they are of the utmost quality and they feel pretty good. I get them in the 1/4" shaft as I feel that they fit a little bit more snugly into certain knobs. You don't have to worry about the split shaft tabs bending in if you put it in incorrectly. The one big downside to the 1/4" solid shaft pots is that you're kind of limited to the variety of knobs that you can get for it. One thing I've done in the past is actually drill out the knob hole for the 1/4" shaft pots, and that works really well, and I actually do that with the Hipshot O-ring knobs on most of my builds. These black dome knobs that I chose for this build will fit perfectly, especially paired up against the chrome and the black Silo humbucker. For the switch, I bought this standard Fender Telecaster 3-way so I can switch between the neck, both pickups, and the bridge. I also got some 500K CTS push-pull pots, as well as some Switchcraft 1/4" jacks to use for the input jack. The reason I wanted to buy these push-pull pots is that so I can coil split the humbucker. This will let us create some cool single coil-like tones. The jack will be mounted with this jack cup plate, which this was already routed out when I first received the body, so it's going to be a perfect fit. The next thing we're going to talk about is what we are going to be replacing the fret and side markers with. I purchased these blue Luminlay face dots that are a bit bigger than the dots currently on the board. These are 7mm in diameter and will cover up the old voids nicely. For the side dots, I also went with blue Luminlays, and these are also a bit bigger than the current side dots. These have a nice black border around the blue, which I thought was pretty different from what you see on normal side dots. These come from Japan and are a bit expensive, so if you're going to use them, make sure you budget that in the cost of your build and possibly order a few sets to save on shipping. On to the Fretwire. So I have some Warmoth stainless steel 6150 that I used on another build, and I have just enough to use on this Telecaster. The Warmoth 6150 is a medium jumbo wide shape, and it feels great while playing. I use stainless steel in all of my builds as they almost last forever. Who has time for a refret, am I right? So that just about covers all of the parts that I bought for this build. Disclaimer, some of this might change as we progress further, but these core components will pretty much stay the same. I waited to do the body humbucker routing until I had the plate and the pickups to ensure everything would fit correctly. Originally, I was going to roll with a standard Tele setup, but I wanted a guitar with an HS configuration. I already have another Tele with single coils on my arsenal, so why not mix it up? In the next episode, we will be installing this Tele plate bridge, taking some measurements and traces, and then routing out the humbucker cavity using a template. And that just about wraps up this video. I want to thank you all for your continued support in watching this series. It's been a blast to work on this build, and it's been fun filming the video series too. So if you like what you see, please give the video a like and consider subscribing to my channel. I'm going to be doing a lot of more fun projects and how-to videos and instructional stuff and stuff like that. So thanks a bunch for your continued support, and I will see you next time.